This very body is soil. My body, your body, everybody is just soil body. The magic of soil is it turns death into life. Depleted soils will not quench the fire of hunger. Unquenched hunger can burn the very world. This is a generational responsibility. Save soil. Let's make it happen.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Dependency on this very special morning. Special in so many ways, and as usual, Natasha is here with me. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning to the trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps who are supposed to be locked on and listening to us this morning on YouTube and Facebook. Good morning as well to the network of police youth club members who are also going to be joining us this morning to hear what Machel has to say about his Save Soil project and other things. But welcome to you, and we also have live on the stream the Honorable Foster Cummings, who is the Minister of Youth Development and National Service, who is going to say a few words to just get us going. But before that, guys.
Yes. I would like to impress upon you all that this minister in particular, this minister has a very, 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 very timely and important intervention to Trinidad and Tobago. He's in charge of youth development and national service. A very important ministry at this time, taking into consideration what's happening with the youth of our nation. And before we bring the minister on, I want to ask God Almighty to bless his hands, bless the work of the ministry, because this ministry, as the word implies, this is God's ministry here. We have a task at hand with saving and grooming our young people, and this minister has to carry that mantle. And I pray God bless him and keep him so that we can come up with plans and strategies and initiatives that can really speak to saving the youth of this nation. After the minister, then we will go on to speak with our very own Mr. Machel Montano and Lady Montano. We'll be showing off what the police youth clubs have been doing, reference to agriculture and all of that, and hope Machel will be impressed by that. But without further ado, let's welcome the Honorable Minister Foster Cummings, Minister of Youth Development and National Service, to bless these proceedings and give us his support for what we're about to do this morning. Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to Garth and Natasha and to Iron Dependency listeners, to all CCC cadets and all of the members of the various police youth clubs, to our Soca King Machel, his wife Rennie, and Mrs. Montano, his mother, and to all our listeners. I'm very pleased to be taking part in this program this morning and to say to the Montanos, you have our full support with your Save Soil program. And as you interact and share this with our young people, this is the type of initiative that we like to support and we like to encourage our young people to support. You would know that the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service has responsibility for the CCC as well as many other youth programs. Only this week, we launched a Youth Agricultural Homestead Program, which gives to young persons interested in agriculture a 2-acre parcel of land, training at ECIAF for 1 year in agricultural production, crop production, and animal husbandry, and also gives them a starter home and a grant of $20,000 to start their own farm. So it's a very impressive program, and we want to encourage as many young persons as possible to take part. This first cohort will involve 200 persons. So I want to give my blessing to this program. I want to give our support to the Montanos, because so many times, as we succeed, many persons do not think about how do we give back. We have to encourage our young people to pay attention to agriculture, to pay attention to the soil, because it is the soil from which we must eat. And we encourage them all to consider getting involved in agriculture in some way or the other, but also to get involved in environmental protection. And so, while I'm mobile as we speak and on my way to church, I want to give the blessings of the ministry to this program to encourage you on our Dependency to continue the excellent work you have been doing, Garth and Natasha. And just to say to the Montanos, we are in this with you, we support you, and we know that this program is certainly going to enrich the lives of our young people. To all our young listeners, do have a very blessed Sunday morning. Thank you very much.
Minister,
Thank you so much.
that was really short and powerful and to the point. You really hit the nail there. Thank you so much, sir. Be careful on the road. Keep your eyes on the road. And you be safe, all right? Take care. God
Have
bless
a blessed
you.
day.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, so folks,
that
you heard.
was the Honorable Foster Cummings, the Minister of Youth Development and National Service, kicking us off in the right way. And we are joined again by more CCC trainees. Welcome from Central, Northeast, Northeast and Central running the town. And thank you for letting us know where you're listening in on our YouTube feed and on Facebook as well.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
And while you're joining us, you're going to be interacting with Uncle Machel today. and actually, I don't want to say granny, and Auntie, yes, Auntie Elizabeth. Auntie Elizabeth. All right, so folks, while you continue to join, remember you can join us on YouTube and Facebook for this really wonderful morning. We're going to take a bit of this track again, go to a break, and then when we come back and start the journey now, Safe Soil journey. What is the biggest threat to our lives? And Machel and they kindly consented to put this video together. Machel did it himself. And we want to thank him for that. So we'll share that with you when we return. So get yourselves in a gear, folks. Pull your seat, pull up your chair, put this on TV if you could. Because
like and share the live stream as well.
Yes, please. Yes, like and share and subscribe on YouTube as well. And let's have a good morning. All right, so let's go to this quick break. Give me some of that. I love this track. Machel will have to tell us who composed this, how they came up with this. But I love it. It's really, really catchy and nice, and it stays with you. All right, so let's go. We'll be back after this short break.
Your body, everybody, is just soil body. magic of soil is it turns death into life.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Go, sona. I come in and don't give me no attitude there.
You have Shiana manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them, scope them out, see if they have low self-esteem, family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to their problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you
Forget
and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice, nice.
Look one right here. Try a thing now.
A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the On Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us, and thank you as you continue to join us. Good morning to Superintendent Ram Kilawan, and of course we'll speak about him in a minute. But we're going to introduce you to now to what is the biggest threat to our lives. This video was put together by Mr. Montano, and just to introduce so that we can continue as you watch this, you will get to understand the whole concept and everything. And after that, we'll come back with Mr. Montano right after this. So, short man, without further ado, let's go with this video.
Soil is the habitat upon which zillions of lives thrive. Once there is no richness in soil, then you have forsaken the planet in many ways.
Imagine the country you live in being hit by less and less fertile soil, making crop growing increasingly difficult.
You've heard of dinosaurs going extinct, but what we are facing now is soil extinction. We talk of carbon, we talk of emissions, we talk of pollution. Before all that, we need to address the most important concern. Every responsible scientist in the world and the UN agencies are clearly saying we have only 45 to 50 years of agricultural soil left on the planet. This is suicide. The chaos and the suffering that we will create for populations around the world is unimaginable. Don't think only the poor people will die. They will kill the rich and rich will die. So, why is soil becoming extinct? If you add organic content to sand, sand will turn into soil. If you remove all organic content from the soil, soil will become sand. In normal agricultural soil, the minimum organic content should be between 3 to 6%. In most countries, more than 50% of the topsoil is already gone in the last 100 years. And in United States, the heavy usage of pesticides, weedicides, herbicides, and above all, plowing the land with machines up to 12 to 15 inches is the basis of destruction of microbial life. To keep the soil as living soil is a must, and we need laws across the world to make this happen. Ecological issues must become election issues. Conscious Planet is launching the Save Soil movement to bring about a policy change to regenerate soil in 192 nations. And I'm riding 30,000 kilometers across 24 nations to activate support from the citizenry to assure the governments long-term investments will be appreciated. We need to galvanize a large number of people, at least 60% of the electorate, which amounts to 3.5 billion people. Only if we do this, democratically elected governments will have the courage and the focus to invest in regenerating soil, making policies and budgets for soil regeneration. In the next 15 to 25 years, we can significantly turn this situation around and regenerate the soil. But if we allow this to progress like this for another 30 to 40 years, after 40 years if we attempt this, then it could take 150 to 200 years because that much loss of biodiversity would have happened. From 21st of March for 100 days, the whole world, every human being on the planet should talk soil. Save soil everywhere. Each one of you should reach as many people as you can. Many global leaders and influencers are already participating in the movement. Be a part of this and let us make it happen.
We're going to save the soil. Do your part.
We're not only causing harm to ourselves, we're threatening to eliminate all other lives on the planet.
Soil is a living entity. It is where we come from, it's where we'll return to, it's where we get all of our nutrients and our energy from.
There's a lot of practical things that we can do on what's happened in the past and using that to really fuel our steps forward.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
It's a great pleasure for me, these beautiful nations, these pearls of the ocean, which are the Caribbean nations, are going for this first soil is not a separate subject. If we are interested in health, if we are interested in agriculture, if we are interested in the well-being of the citizens of today and the unborn child of tomorrow, attending to soil right now, attending to the soil biodiversity right now, this is a must-do thing in our life. Soil. The only thing that we hated about you were you were on the opposite side, always. But otherwise, we couldn't help loving you. We are at a cusp of time right now. If we act now, if we bring in the policies and start implementing this, in the next 12 to 15 years, we can make a significant turnaround.
So this memorandum of understanding that we are signing, it will also bring some technical assistance to the Caribbean region.
This is a historic moment because here is the first step to turn around.
Save soil, let's make it happen!
Sadhguru, welcome to the Daily Show.
Wonderful.
I know that we also are facing a soil crisis where some people are estimating that if we do nothing, in 50 years' time, we may not be able to grow anything because we may run out of soil, which, forgive my ignorance, I did not know that soil is even something that we could run out of.
The thing is, this has happened in the last 50 to 100 years of industrialized farming, that the organic content in the soil is going away because there's no replenishment.
Are you getting any signs that governments are enthusiastic to try and do something about this?
See, in the last 2 years, I've been talking to various country heads, various politicians, political parties. We have written to 730 political parties on the planet to make sure that they include soil and ecology as a part of their election manifestos, as their political philosophy. Whatever they believe in, right, left, center, whatever they are, soil is one thing which is a common factor for all of us. We're always looking at what divides us. It's time, if you don't understand the consciousness of this cosmos and stuff like that, at least you understand you come from the soil, you live off the soil, when you die you go back to the soil, that much you get it.
So this is something that you're very concerned about, and rightly so, that there's a problem with the topsoil in America.
50% of the American farmers have not seen a dollar in the last 12 years. And the highest suicide rate among all professions is among the farming community in the United States. I don't want to be that one who didn't care enough to do something which matters, because right now we are consuming the soil and food that belongs to an unborn child. This is a crime against humanity.
I hear you.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
You must write to the Prime Minister, save soil, okay? All the children say, save soil.
Soil body.
With folks, that was a beautiful presentation and it spoke for itself. We don't have to elaborate on it. At this time, let us welcome to our platform for the first time in our 20-year history, we have this young man with us, and we thank him very much for taking the time out to sit with us this morning. I should have begged for a pair of those t-shirts to wear in studio too, Machel. That slipped me. But Machel Montano, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Garth and Natasha. I am Dependency. Good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we are hearing you well.
Awesome.
So,
thank you so much for having me.
Well, and we thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy, very busy, hectic schedule to join us this morning to share these, few moments with us. Tell us, we have the trainees of the Civil and Conservation Corps joining us. We have the youth clubs, police youth clubs joining us, and they will be, they waiting to hear from you, and they want to show off, especially the youth clubs want to show off what they've been doing. So tell us, Machel, all about this initiative and where did it start, and what's the next move for you on this?
Let me say good morning, first of all, to all the Iron Dependency listeners, to the Minister Foster Cummings. Thank you for your kind words and for your support and for showing up and being here. I want to big up the CCC crew, all the CCTs who are in here. Big up yourself. You're doing a good job, and I'm really proud that you guys are tuning into the Safe Soil mission. Big up the Police Youth Club, who's also doing a lot of great things. I was just in Superior with the Superior Police Youth Club doing a little Safe Soil thing with the Deltones, Panside, and a couple of different people from Rio Caro and different places. But I want to big up all the ministries that are also showing a lot of attention. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Youth, of course, and a lot of people are talking about farming and agriculture. But that saying, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know that, God, right? And I think before we talk about farming, we have to talk about soil, because without soil, we can't farm. So I want to say thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to speak to you all on this very important and timely issue.
Yes.
I'm grateful to be able to share a little bit of my experience with the journey, and I hope it will inspire and encourage others.
Yes,
in the video that you saw me traveling across the Caribbean, advocating for the Conscious Planet Safe Soil movement alongside Sadhguru. And I would love to share a bit about how I came to be involved in this wonderful initiative, right? So you allow me some time to just go in deep. I might have to dive a little deep.
Sure. Before you do that though, Machel, and Tanti Rosie listening to you out there in the USA, she says good morning. Ms. Joni Williams, thank you very much.
Mama Rose, Miss Unity Williams, thank you for that link up because I know Mama Rose is like my other mother, my second mother, and I know she's doing well. I saw a video of her singing the other day. Mama Rose, I love you, and I'm glad that you're inside. I'm following in your footsteps and, trying to play my role in the youths.
Yes.
So let me just talk a bit about how I got involved in Sadhguru's Conscious Planet Safe Cell movement. Sadhguru is a yogic master. He's a yogi and he's a mystic, he's a visionary. But he has been sharing the teachings of yoga with millions of people all over the world for many years now. And he has had quite an impact on my life, since I started learning his programs in 2018. Besides teaching yoga, he has been leading many social and environmental initiatives that are really focused on the well-being of individuals and communities, and the environment or the world at large. So let me share how I really came to this point. Let's just say my journey, started back in the year 2000 when I was introduced to yoga. And I've been exploring many different types of yoga off and on over the last 22 years. I know that might sound long. I'm celebrating 40 years in the music business this year.
Congratulations, yes. Well done.
Thank you so much. And I know the lady will expand on that, but for the last 22 years, I've really been, diving into yoga. And when we hear the word yoga, we tend to think it's about a lot of extreme postures and intense breathing and twisting up your body. And while that is one aspect, there's a lot of techniques involved in the practice of meditation, along with learning the science of the body or the human system. And in that, there's a lot of insight into the nature of life itself. So the word yoga really means union. It translates into the word union. So yoga is a science and it's a technology that helps to harmonize the body, the mind, the emotions, the energies, bring it all in union. And it allows you to experience life just the way it is. And until you go through that experience joyfully and intensely, or what I would call fully involved. In my experience, I would say it helps to keep, your system pleasant and healthy and functioning at its full potential, or some might say its peak potential. When you see Machel on stage, you see me traveling, you see me, I always, really coming intensely. And yoga has helped me to develop that. So from as far back as 2010, I don't know if you remember, in 2010, I took a break from Carnival and Fast Pace.
Yes.
I went on tour with Pitbull and I wasn't there for Carnival. I was always dreaming since then in 2010 when I was hearing about Vision 2020. I was always dreaming that in 2020, I would take a break, another break, So I know I was going to go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, which, of all those years, I kind of probably win about 7 road march in those 10 years. And it was intense work. But I always had the vision that I would take a break in 2020, hence the wedding, the final Machel Monday, and all of that was a bit of a gear down for Machel,
Right.
I was just
and the pandemic. The pandemic played a role in that too, right?
When I get into that, but in 2020, I was already gearing down, you know what I mean? In 2021, I was, even at the beginning, the pandemic wasn't so fresh, but I was really able to take a step back and get some rest and reflect on my life. I moved to the jungle in Toko. I was focusing on my health and how my body was feeling, because I say, hey, boy, you're getting up there in age. You're getting grazed. You've been going since 7 years old at that steady pace. And I was also looking at, my way I was feeling and what was happening in the world at the same time. And that can encourage me to pay more attention to improving myself in all aspects. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, as you say. When the pandemic hit, all of us experienced life like we never experienced it before. We went into lockdown. A lot of the comforts we were accustomed to were taken away. People's jobs, our freedom, a lot of the parties, the shows, the touring, everything. The beach, which was an important one for a lot of us. And but a basic one, which was a big one of those comforts, was food. I don't know if you realize how we was affected by food-wise.
Yes.
Food we usually enjoy, like the fast food and the street food, like the doubles and the chicken and chips. And I'm saying we, as a people, because I don't really partake. I love my doubles, yes. But even going to the grocery at some point was kind of challenging too, And I saw a lot of people turn to agriculture. They started farming and planting. Who wasn't cooking before was cooking more at home. You know, I would drive from Port of Spain to Togo and see a lot of green grocers opening up, people selling fruits and vegetables. Even some stores that were selling clothes, I would see them selling fruits and vegetables now. You know, people were pivoting. But there were a lot of challenges still happening on the line, like people not having enough money to buy food and being out of work. And you know, I was watching the news and seeing a lot of long lines in America, like Texas and New York and all over the world, where people lining up for food. And I think a lot of connections could be made if we step back and look. So I would say that I myself was one who took the time to, you know, I went back to the land, I started planting and eating what I planted. You know, it was my kind of journey to becoming more healthy. I had already made, you know, some significant changes years ago in my life, like not smoking, drinking. I stopped eating meat, and I started doing a little yoga. But during this pandemic, something was kind of pushing me to go further. And that journey, you know, just led me into seeing that this is much deeper than being able to grow and feed myself or feed my family. I started thinking about, what about the health of the nation? You know, are we growing enough food to feed ourselves? We importing so much food at high cost, and we import the US dollars, all of this. And it was like you could see it in the nature, you could see it in the world. So it was kind of natural for me to decide, you know, let me strengthen my understanding of yoga during this time, because I had experienced firsthand, you know, what changes I was able to achieve over the years. I saw a connection or a union, you know, between my health and the health of the world. So I decided to look to yoga because I knew how that affected my peace and my balance and my clarity. And, you know, it improved my practice over the years, especially my practice improved, especially when I started learning under Sadhguru in 2018. So during the pandemic, I felt like we were being challenged and we were facing a lot of new realities. You know, one of the toughest being a lot of people were losing loved ones. And, you know, my sympathies go out to all the families and all the people who have lost someone due to the pandemic. You know, looking back on it, you know, one of the lessons there was definitely a correlation between COVID-19 and those of us who had health issues. You know, the strength or the weakness of our immune systems was directly related to how severely we were affected by COVID, you know?
Yep,
and a lot of the experts were saying, hey, boost the immune systems. You know, it's directly connected to how we eat, what we eat, or basically how healthy we eat. Meaning that the weaker we were as beings in nutrients, the more susceptible we were to disease, and that determined if we survive or not. And believe it or not, there is a connection between all this and soil. You know, the nutrients in soil being depleted means a lot of the food don't have the nutrients that it used to have. We might be still making food, but it's not as healthy. It also means things like putting more fertilizer in the soil to make the plants grow better or grow more, but not necessarily having the nutrients it had. And in that video, you'll see Sadhguru also mentioned, you know, an orange that we used to suck 20 years ago, or in the 1920s, sorry. We have to suck 8 of those oranges to get the same nutrients today. You know, so that's a big problem. So my decision about improving myself and understanding this led me to my yoga, and my wife and I decided in July 2021 to go to India to Sadhguru's yoga center and practice some more yoga. We practiced and we also volunteered in many of his programs. And when I met Sadhguru, I always admired some of the projects that he and the Isha Yoga organization undertook. You know, they were projects that I was personally passionate about: planting trees, protecting and saving the environment, and working with others like young people and, you know, older generation to improve life. So I learned that their mission to plant trees and help revitalize their climate was also part of, you know, the trajectory led them to seeing that they had to do something about rivers. The riverways had to be revitalized. And then they went on to saying, let's develop a relationship with farmers. And that led us to understanding that the soil is so important to farmers. It's important to the flow of water in the rivers, and it's important to the trees and the atmosphere. So we were introduced to the Conscious Planet movement, which is really about becoming conscious of our relationship with the planet. And when I say us, I mean us human beings, our relationship with the planet. You saw Trevor Noah was saying that he wasn't aware that we could run out of soil. There are a lot of things we don't know. I feel like a lot of us have this perception that we end up here on Earth, and this planet is there to provide us with things. So we basically, just taking, we keep squeezing out what we could get, or pulling out, sucking out what we could get, and we're not really putting back as much as we should to keep the planet healthy or keep it going. So you're there with me, right?
Yes, of course. I'm just going to let the folks know, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Our Dependency, and we have Mr. Machel Montano is on mic 1 right now, and he is taking us through this wonderful journey. And as you drop in, just say hello, identify yourself, youth club you represent, or the Conservation Corps. Just remember, you can join us by Facebook and our YouTube platform, Our Dependency. So go ahead, Mr. Montano.
Yes. And welcome to all youths. I hope they listen clearly, because this perception that, we are separate from the earth, and really and truly the earth's supposed to give us all these things that we must go ahead and build a life on, is I think we have to move away from. If we look deeper, we would see that the planet and us are not two separate things. We all connected. All our life and all life on the planet is life itself, and we are connected in particular by the soil. The planet is basically soil. We're walking upon it, and there's a magic that is happening within the soil that we're not fully aware of. I don't know if Sadhguru say we come from it, we go back to it when we die, we eat off of it. But you take a seed and you put it in soil, and you get a plant which gives a flower, which brings a fruit, and that provides food. These plants die and go back, make the soil healthy. We die and go back and become that same topsoil, and so on. It keep going, it keep being rich for us to grow. But that has been being threatened. There's a healthy relationship between us if we don't know what we breathe out, which is carbon dioxide. Trees breathe in.
Yes.
Our waste is their food. And when they breathe in that carbon dioxide, they do photosynthesis, and in exchange, they go down in the soil, they make the soil healthy, but they come back up through them, they release oxygen for us. So what we breathing in come from them, and what they breathing in come from us. It's a cycle. So it really means that healthy soil signals a healthy planet. And a healthy planet must mean the health of the people, which brings us to the urgency of soil extinction. All over the world, as they say, we are running out of soil because the soil is losing its vitality. It's losing its organic content. With organic content, soil becomes rich, soil becomes alive, and it will produce better food. It will also, do things like hold more water, which I will discuss a little later what that does. It just creates a better biosphere, for growth. And we are losing this organic content based on the ways we farm, the ways we leave our soils open, and that release of carbon into the atmosphere, methane into the atmosphere. We kill the microorganisms and the microbes that are in soil. So this movement is doing something for us to prevent that from going in a real tragic state, which we are on the brink, as Sadhguru said. If we put policies in place now, just to ensure that we keep soil to a 3% minimum of organic content. We just want 3% to 6% of organic content in soil. That will be perfect for everything. And it could be done very easily. All you have to do is bring land under vegetation and shade. Because once the land under vegetation and shade, the leaves fall, plant litter will increase soil, organic matter, of course, it will go back in there and die, and the process will happen. Now, we're talking about this, and a lot of this deals with the Ministry of Agriculture. It deals with farmers. I don't want to dive into all of these solutions as yet, because there are many solutions. It will have a different solution for Trinidad versus Grenada versus America versus Africa, because we all have different farming traditions, different climates and different soils and different things that grow best in each area.
Right.
But the basic idea is don't leave land open to the sun. These practices of running the tractors through it and opening it up, and just leaving it exposed, planting one crop, monocrop. So when that crop done, the land stay empty. These are things that have been causing the slow degeneration of the soil. And there are many, many new things that have been introduced since the pandemic to now, like permaculture, and there are a lot of organizations and farmers in Trinidad that I'm really grateful for, who has taught me and showed us things, many people. But if we look at the issue, the issue is not just, I know, like I say, the CCC want to show off what they're doing, and the police want to show off what they're doing. A lot of people in school and say, hey, I planting a garden in the backyard, hey, I doing permaculture over here. All of this is great. First, I have that understanding, first to do it small. But the problem is so huge that it will take more than individual action. This will take a global scale action. 75% of the land of the planet is used for agriculture, which is used to feed us. And that is fortunate too, because that is when most of the carbon emission is happening, which is causing climate change, which is heating up the planet, which is changing the acidity and the alkalinity of the oceans, which is, you're seeing sargassum, you're seeing dead fish everywhere, you're seeing coral reefs dying. All of this is connected. So
before you continue, Machel, what do you think about the fact that the large scale agriculture that is, utilizing a lot of land and degrading soil in the process, not necessarily to feed humans, but to feed animals? I think animal agriculture as well is contributing to the degradation of soil and land and people's livelihoods as well.
Of course, all of these facts are out there. All of these facts are out there. Raising cattle is one of the greatest contributors to the climate problem, and feeding these animals. So, of course, as I told you, I'm a vegetarian, vegan. Basically, I don't eat meat for the last 5 years, and eating less meat is good. But we're not here to tell people what to do or how to eat or whatever. We're here to find bigger solutions. So eating less meat is cool, because that will help us to reduce the amount of animals we have to feed and the amount of lands we have to use. But you see, this movement, especially, let me just say this from the jump, is not pointing fingers at any organization, not at those who are raising animals, not at the oil companies, not at the motor vehicle companies for emissions, not at the fertilizer, because all these things are necessary. All of us drive cars. All of us have been driving cars. We can't switch into electric cars just like that. A lot of suffering will go on, and it can't happen. We can't just stop using fertilizer, because 20% of food production will drop immediately and there will be hunger. And it's not to say fertilizer is bad or any of these things bad. It's just too much of it. And if we understand that, as you rightfully said, 75% of the land is being used for agriculture. So this is our plus, because not only the minus of it releasing carbon, this is kind of managed by human beings, especially managed by farmers and governments and those in charge. So we could actually take care of it if we reduce in the 75% of the land that is causing these emissions. If we reduce that by making the soil rich in organic content, we will have the solution for climate change immediately. If you really watch across the world, some of these statistics, the US has lost 50% of its topsoil. Europe, 75% of the soil in Europe has organic content of less than 2%. In Trinidad here, we less than 0.5%. And that's the same thing in India. 62% of the Indian soil is less than 5%. In Africa, 2/3 of Africa will lose its arable land by 2030. That is in 8 years. 2/3 of Africa. So worldwide, 52% of the agricultural soils are already degraded. And the UNCCD has, projected that by 2050, 90% of Earth's soil could be degraded. Now, I know this is sounding like a lot of statistics and sounding like doomsday, but we all busy doing what we're trying to do, social media, trying to get ahead, trying to mind our families and stuff. And if we pay attention, we could see a lot of these signs are happening, the increase in food prices in the grocery, food prices across the globe. The scarcity of food, the pandemic caused a strain on the distribution system. And we see in the signs of there could be famines and there could be food shortages in about the next 20 years that will have a great impact on the world. It will cause wars, it will cause destruction and famine. But, you know, what else is happening by this soil losing its strength? You know that 95% of the food that we eat comes from soil. And if we only have 60 years of soil left, which is predicted by the UN FAO, you know, we could see food production falling by 30%. You know, the World Economic Forum predict this. And 800 million people are already hungry in this world. They're already suffering from hunger. So if we make the soils healthier, we could increase crop yields and we could secure food for all. We could also make the food that we produce more nutrient, higher in nutrients, so people will be healthier. You know, people will be more able to handle some of these pandemics or these COVID-19s that will keep coming. These things wouldn't stop. These things went from Ebola to SARS-2 to COVID-19, and that will keep going. So we have to kind of really focus on how do we become stronger to fight against these things when the time comes. You know, so healthy soil equals healthy food, and that healthy food will equal healthy people. Right? Let me just touch on climate change. You know, we talk a lot about climate change, and climate change is basically about too much carbon in the atmosphere. But carbon is not a bad thing because I am carbon, you are carbon, the plants are carbon, everything is made from carbon. And the problem is actually the solution, because too much carbon in the atmosphere, but where should the carbon be is just about balancing it. You know, carbon is stored in the atmosphere, it is stored in the oceans, it is stored in the biosphere, and it is stored in the soil, mainly in the soil. So if we keep pulling more carbon out of the atmosphere by putting these organic organisms into the soil, because they will draw the carbon down, then we'll balance it off. We'll take some out of the atmosphere, which will in turn take some out of the oceans, which will make the oceans healthier and take us there. But if we keep farming the way we're farming or not, you know, trying to regenerate these soils, we could lose this window of opportunity. And I want to stress this because Garth and Natasha, it takes 200 years to build 1 centimeter of topsoil.
Wow.
You know, to build 1 centimeter, and we need the first 12 inches, you know. So think about it. We have to be very careful. If we don't act now and we lose it, it might take us way too long to build it back. You know, soil is a thing that we grow on it, we build in it, we build from it. You know, soil filters the water, it reduces flooding. And when I talk about flooding, water is an important thing. Soil is the largest water soak on the planet. As Blue said, when you take organic content out of soil, it becomes sand. If soil is sand, you know what happens? Once the water falls in the soil, it will just wash off. It will end up in the street, it will end up in the road, it will end up in the rivers, it will end up in your house. Have we not been seeing increased flooding in Trinidad and Tobago? People putting up videos on YouTube and social media saying they never see floods like this before. Well, it is because the soil not holding the water as much as it should. So there are a lot of things that, you know, we could see from this Save Soil movement, especially farmers in general. I want to reach out to the farmers because I know a lot of farmers having hard times. They're not having the kind of soil that produce the kind of, you know, kind of produce that it used to. And the government is now embarking on this really great incentives to get young people into soil. We want to leave a proper soil for these young people. Our generation have to give them that legacy and hand down rich soil. We can't hand them sand because they'll have these 2 acres of land that is just sand. They can't produce, they need more fertilizer than anything, which will drive up their costs. They need more water. If you make your soil rich and it hold more water, your irrigation costs will come down. All farmers know this. So there are many solutions, but right now I want to stress that the Save Soil movement is not about the solutions because we have all those and we have all these scientists and we're ready to go. We really want to encourage people, 3.5 billion people, to post on your Instagram, post on your Facebook, talk about soil. Let's change the narrative to understand that soil is not dirt. Soil is actually a rich substance that is life, and we need to save it. And we need to tell our governments, let's sign these MOUs, these memorandums of understanding that say we commit to keeping our soil at a bare minimum of 3% to 6% organic content. That will mean that we care about the next generation and we want them to have a rich soil as a legacy. So people must understand this movement is just right now in this 100 days Sadhguru is riding all over the world. And he chose to come to the Caribbean first, based on our relationship and we saw an opportunity to come to the Caribbean. But we want to encourage everybody to join the movement. Go to savesoil.org, become an earth buddy, talk to somebody, post something. Just, even when you're planting, show your videos, but send the message out. And the most important thing right now is to get the governments to sign the MOUs. And why? We might plant trees, we might save soil, but who's to say the next generation will come and put on concrete and pave everything and not follow trees? If you understand?
Yes.
So laws is what will take care of us, and we need this in law. And this is a basic law. It's not costing any money. It's not derailing any projects. It's not, as I say, not affecting the motor car industry, none of these industries. We just committed to keeping our soil at a minimum organic content of 3 to 6%. I was very proud to play a role in getting the Caribbean nations on board. Just before Sadhguru went on his journey, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Guyana,
Barbados.
Barbados, all these Pierre Motley, Gaston Brown, everybody, they were really on top of it. I am also in talks with Trinidad and Tobago, Belize, St. Vincent, Bahamas, Jamaica, you name it, a few Turks and Caicos. So we in the Caribbean should be very proud that we have stood up and we have said, look, we commit to fighting this cause of saving soil. And we really hope that in the long run, this will encourage other nations to do the same. So I'm speaking to the youths now there, use your social media, use your voice. Thank you, Iron Dependency. I'm not talking long, but there's a lot of information to get to there. Thank you.
No, well, Machel, looking at the comments on Facebook, well, Northwest Region, congratulations. They're presently engaged in tree planting. And we will have the CCC show off their wares and what they do on another program. This one this morning for the youth club. We want to start with the younger ones first, the youth club. But we want to thank all the young people who locked on this morning. Those of you listening on radio, thank you for staying with us. Those of you on YouTube, you're listening to Machel Montano, who is schooling us, really. Machel, you said a lot there. And you could see from the response of the young people on Facebook, especially, they're following you, they feel you, they understand what you're saying. And I really love you for that, man. You're really reaching them this morning, and we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really powerful what you outlined there. I mean, I too, listening to you, I'm saying our planet we really need to pay more attention, because I think it's something that we take for granted. This piece of dirt that we walk on, we really take it for granted.
We do.
In a lot of ways. We're going to always wake up and step outside and hit dirt. You know what I mean? And hit soil. But
Machel, you want to speak to a little bit about why it's important for us here in the Caribbean to take up this kind of initiative, because we are innovators in a lot of ways, and a lot of our traditional practices and ways of living are dying out, and I think we can be leaders in the world as far as saving soil is concerned. You agree?
Well, we are leaders. The first 6 nations to sign the MOUs were Caribbean countries.
There you go.
And we have another 6 or 7 in line. Once we get the availability of Sadhguru, we want to bring the movement here. We want to touch the people. But Caribbean people, we have a unity. We have a very diverse. We are just like the sun. Our biodiversity is wide, But our strength is our nimbleness. One of the ministers Minister Joseph in Antigua said this when I went to Antigua a couple of years ago to help them launch the single-use plastic ban in Antigua. And he said, we are small nations. We could turn on a dime. We could influence our leaders. I could pick up the phone and speak to certain leaders and get them to understand, and they will speak with the ministers, and we have enough relationship and trust that we can make things happen. The United States, Europe, these big nations is like if you're trying to turn a cruise ship. If you're trying to turn a cruise ship, you need to take about an hour to start turning. It's not that nimble. But we, the Caribbean, could turn, and we could be the voice and encourage others. But also, we are the first that being affected by the results of climate change and these things. The rising water levels and sea levels coming into our lands. Hurricanes. The hurricane season has been, increasingly becoming more and more destructive, destroying Dominica. I went to Dominica when that happened. I went to Grenada when it happened. I went to Grenada. I've been on this part of really putting myself in this and trying to help, but I've been looking and observing that these things are increasing. We're not getting any less. Flooding, drought, heat, things like, if you watch for a simple thing like the pandemic, when it was time to get vaccines, we were the last. This is what will happen with food. When food run out, the bigger nations with the bigger guns will keep the food. And if you're watching in Trinidad, my dad always say, grow something, make something. Trinidad and Tobago youths, create something, make a product, make something that you could export, because we need foreign exchange. So let's make things, let's become a creative society. I make music that brings foreign exchange. I make videos, I make all these things. But we want to encourage youths to grow food, make food, do things, because we depend a lot on importation, and that is going to become a problem down the line when these food shortages start, because the bigger countries with the guns will keep the food and we will suffer. So it's important for us in the Caribbean to stand up in solidarity and raise our loud voice. We like them little pump back. They barking hard. Like, man, we have to do it. It's important because we can too. We can.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Our Dependency, and you're hearing correct. That's Mr. Machel Montano on with us this morning, and waiting right there on stage left to join us will be Lady Elizabeth Montano in a few minutes. Machel has schooled us this morning on how we have, and somebody just asked the question, what they have to do to get involved to make the change. So Machel, you will share that with us again. And go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, God. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. Till someone asked the question. What do they do to get involved? So share that with us before we go.
A lot of people keep asking what to do. And this is a step-by-step process. And the first step is really, really simple. Go to www.savesoil.org. Savesoil.org. This website is the home of the Conscious Planet website. There is so much information. There are toolkits. If you don't know how to open a Twitter account or Instagram account, it will teach you how to do it. It will show you how to talk about soil. It will train you how to speak to your friends, your family, your neighbors. We need to change the narrative on the planet. You see, this is a Save Soil movement, but it houses under our Conscious Planet banner. And, I don't want to dive into this too tough, but consciousness is key. One of the greatest moves for the human being right now is to raise the level of our consciousness, because the level of our consciousness is affecting the way life is happening right now. It is directly connected to crime. We see in people not understanding the divinity of life or the value of life. We see in a lot of gender-related issues with the killing of women, the treatment of young children. This is all related to us not understanding or being conscious of, the miracle of life, how valuable life is. And it will come down into the soil. So understanding that we are part of the soil, becoming more conscious, touching nature, helps us to understand life. Until I spend my days out there in Togo and I watching flowers and I'm looking at butterflies and people laughing and thinking it's a joke, but it makes me more sensitive to life, and it's going to influence my music. So I'm saying to the young people, we have one of the greatest tools in our hand. Is this cell phone is one of the greatest technologies. We have Facebook, we have the internet, we have the power for the first time to talk to the whole world from our bedroom, to talk to the whole world from your garden, from CCC gardens, CCC classrooms. You could talk to the whole world, from the police youth club, any event you're having, you could show the world. What we need to tell the world is, hey, soil is going extinct, and without soil, we can't eat, and without eating, we can't survive. Let's address it. Without dealing with it right now, it is going to run away from us. It has happened in the past that civilizations have crashed in the past based on, you look it up, many civilizations, do the work, do the history. This has happened before. We have to learn from our mistakes and learn as human beings. We always think about capitalism and we go so hard sometimes. The pandemic came to make us take a step back, to make us slow down, to make us look at family qualities, look at life, look at your health.
Yes.
Without health, there is no wealth.
Yes.
And the pandemic don't care whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're white, whether you're black. There's 1%, 99%. The pandemic don't see that. The pandemic only see how healthy your body is. It wants to live, and it comes into you and takes over your system, and then you can live. So this is really about becoming conscious of what life is. And these youths could go on their phones, make videos, talk about saving soil. I started an extempo competition, and I get all the calypsonians across the country giving me drops and extempos. And I try to get these soca artists. Right now, the soca artists might be too busy, flying and touring. But we must take a step out to know that we have a powerful voice. I did Machel Monday, and that had influenced a lot of other young artists that want to do things. They want to do their own shows. We have Kes Tuesday. We have Nyla have her show. We have, Second Star have his show. Everybody have a show with front arms. I have inspired them to do that, to create their own thing. Right now, I want to use my voice to inspire people on a wider scale than just music and carnival and partying. The message is, let's live with nature, let's understand the soil crisis, and let's become conscious of life itself. It will help us with crime. It will help with some of the violence in schools. It will help with, all these things will help, but we have to be the inspiration, and we have to use the internet as a tool, not just there for jokes. It's not just there to attack people online. It could be a positive tool that we could spread a message and influence others.
Yes, sir. And speaking of which, let's see now. Let's show you, Machel, what the youth of the Police Youth Club have been doing. So what we did, they sent in some pictures, some sent in videos. Natasha was busy at work trying to edit them. We want to thank Superintendent Ram Kilawan, of course, DCP Joan Archie, and WPC Prescott for mobilizing, and WPC Prescott work over time. So we chose some, and we're going to save them for the next segment when we're continuing this. But for now, we have a 10-minute just to show you, Machel, what these youngsters have been doing. And let's see, from your watchful eye, what you can say to them with what you will see here up next. So, short man, let's go to that. And youngsters, Uncle Machel is watching your stuff now. Let's go.
Hello everyone, I am Xavier Katek. I'm 13 years old and I'm participating in the Best Junior Kitchen Garden competition. Here is my growing area. It measures 35 square feet and it falls under the medium-sized kitchen garden category. In this space, I have a rectangular raised grow bed and 2 grow bags. My soil consists of chicken manure and topsoil. As you can see, is nice and loose for proper plant growth. I have planted 4 crops, 2 long-term crops and 2 short-term crops. My long-term crops are tomatoes, cabbage, and my short-term crops are lettuce and pak choy. Bye everyone, see you in next video.
take you through Whiteland Police Club, do it yourself from the day. But as you can see, we have tomatoes. Everything here was in fact donated by the community. Kale, healthy looking kale. Lettuce, sweet peppers in its currency. Everything here has been done without chemicals or fertilizer. We use manure and food. It did in fact succeed. We have size, pak choy, or pressure. You can see we have sweet peppers.
He's just taking it to what the Whiteland.
This has been Whiteland Police Youth Club. Do it yourself 2020 participation.
What a nice before and after.
Spinach and
melting
right, and Superintendent Ramkilawan again supervising some planting going on.
Good day. I'm Akis
Yep.
Alexander.
So now we go to
I'm
Roxborough
of the
Police Youth Club.
Hydroponic manager. Well, welcome.
Remember,
to
you could join us on
Hydroponic
YouTube and
system here,
Facebook to
powered
see
by
what
Digital
these
Foundation,
wonderful Beach Youth Club have
collaboration
been
with
doing.
the New Zealand High
So now
Commission.
we're looking at Roxborough,
The Roxborough Police Youth Club
and
Management
this,
is
this
pleased to
project was part
associate with
sponsored by
Digital Foundation,
Digital Foundation
in partnering with
It's
us
a
in developing this
hydroponics
agricultural project
greenhouse
in the
farm.
community of Roxborough. I want to thank the tutor, Mr. Edmond Joseph, who facilitated the training and was there in terms of its implementation.
Now, a lot of people think that hydroponics is only pipes and water, but hydroponics have different techniques incorporated into it. You have nutrients, you have a nutrient reservoir which feeds your plant. There are different types of hydroponic systems. You have the drip-to-waste, you have the deep water culture, you have the stack pot system where the water comes to the top and drains down to the bottom.
I'm also a lover of hydroponics. I did a course for it for about 6 months. And these are some of the things I could tell you well from scratch how we get the pipes in hydroponics functioning, right?
Agriculture is a great thing to get involved in, especially the youths, you know, who let's be on the streets and really have nothing to do. Agriculture is very, very important. My name is Alston McIntosh. I'm from Belgarden, Tobago. I'm thankful for the Digital Foundation. This is a great opportunity which I will hold on to it with both hands, and I wish who watching happen to see this now could get the opportunity to, like we have or like I have, to be here.
The RPYC has been in existence for the past 31 years, providing a plethora of philanthropic interventions for youth, the elderly, and the vulnerable persons in Tobago. It is our intention to increase training in unconventional and modern types of agriculture using the hydroponic greenhouse system. Also, that we can provide our own food to supply the domestic market, hotels, restaurants, guest houses.
I am excited. I am overwhelmed with joy that Digital Foundation has made this happen for the people of Roxborough. This is indeed a flagship project for agriculture and for the development of food security within the community of Tobago. I'm more so thankful for Digital Foundation in supporting us financially and in managing this project, operating and functioning within time and within budget. Roxborough Police Youth Club again express our sincerest thanks.
That was Roxborough Police Youth Club, a very, very nice looking project they have going there. Kudos to them and kudos to the sponsors, Digital Foundation as well, and the New Zealand High Commission. So we're just gonna go through some more. This is Beverly Hills Block 8 Police Youth Club. This is the presentation that they sent us. They are also doing some hydroponics in Makano Quarry in Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills Block 8 Police Youth Club hydroponics project. vertical farming technologies contributing to a reduction of environmental degradation. So they are exploring all of
nice.
the different ways of planting.
It's so nice to see the young people getting involved in these things, despite all the negatives. We have St. Clair Police Youth Club. Never meet others, the Sangre Grande Police Youth Club.
This is the St. James Police Youth Club agricultural team. This team is heading down to the wetland as part of our youth empowerment program. We are using agriculture as a stepping stone in terms of training and development. The young man has been in the business of tomatoes, cider and celery, and you'll see some fantastic things I've been doing down at the agricultural school.
Right, so now we have Constable Shabadi telling us about the work that the St. James Police Youth Club have involved in.
Seems that they have a parcel of land in Montana, so they're showing us their journey with the bus, the young men traveling across the world. They continue with the work that they're doing, the plot of land that they are farming, and we will hear in a while from the adults who are guiding these young people in this activity.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have Mr. Machel Montano online with us, overseeing this project here this morning. And
beautiful day for planting.
Here from the St. James Police Club now.
And I want to introduce you to Mr. Earl Peters, Mr. Matthew, some of the elders in the business who are taking young people under their charge to develop them, show them the principles of agriculture, and they're doing an absolutely wonderful job in terms of their communication skills and guiding young people.
My name is Emmanuel, as you said, and this is the starting process of our farming project. Right here we have tomatoes, we have different varieties of peppers across here. Also across there we have different kind of sweet peppers like jalapenos, etc. Bell peppers. And here we have kale. If you're into healthy vegetables, this is it for you. Kale, and we also have more tomatoes across there.
Over on this side, we have not okra plants preparing to put down. We have pumpkin on this side here in preparation stage in order to take to the wetland. We now have to wait for the wetlands to dry a little bit, which will take us about another 2 weeks to put these things down into the wetlands.
Well, folks, as I said, we will continue as we go, because there's a series of interventions we plan here on Independency, engaging the young people and
really impressive and heartwarming, as you say, to see young people, but not only the young people, to see police officers involved. You see that community policing, and big up to the Roxborough officer, Edmund Joseph, all of those, even Alston and Digicel for coming together and doing such a beautiful presentation. Big up the Whiteland Police Youth Club also. Sergeant Ramkilawan, big up to the St. James Youths, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Peters, all these elders and officers and, different generations that working together with the youth is a very important thing. Now, I wanted to notice that we watch all of these and we've seen a lot of the techniques of how to plant. We've seen a lot of different styles, a lot of different produce being produced. But the first guy, Xavier, who was showing us his little grow bed, he was the first one, he was the only one to tell us about soil and say that his soil was from chicken manure, which again is important. The only way soil could get organic content is through animal waste and plant litter. So you must have sheep, you must have grass, and we didn't see many things talking about permaculture or about keeping the soils covered with grasses and regenerated grasses. I went to a farm Eiley up in Diego Martin. Uncle Henry, who showed me about the vetiver bush, where you could plant this bush to keep your slopes sturdy and then you can use the top line bush to cause them to degenerate and make good manure. So all I'm saying is these projects are wonderful and awesome, but we are here to carry them a little deeper than the top of the surface of the plants and a little deeper into the soil, which is a major important one, because all these projects could not exist without soil. And all these plants that they're planting will not be nutritious enough if they don't have high levels of nutrients in them. So I want to stress to these young people and to all the police youth clubs, we're really supporting you, but we would like to add one more layer. Get the young people involved in using their social media. Let them create Twitter accounts, because Twitter is one of the ways for us to really see that we reach 3.5 billion people. Twitter is one of the biggest platforms. Instagram could do it. Link your Instagram to your Twitter and post messages about saving soil. Let us post messages, because if we don't keep posting these messages, we can't galvanize 3.5 billion people to get governments. We want everybody to tell their government, say, look, we want to sign an MOU. We want to be part of the Save Soil movement, because once we get this happening, they will always have healthy soil to do all these projects. If today or tomorrow the soil run out, all these projects will be jeopardized. And it is just like life. We see life on the surface as being successful, growing a family, getting a job, buying a car, buying a house. But deep down, if you go underneath, you have to value life itself and understand life itself. And I think we just have to add that layer guard to the soil. But I'm very, very impressed. I'm very, very proud to see these generations working together, young and not so young, but really, really aiming in agriculture.
Yes, lovely. Thank you, Machel. And if we're going to take a break, folks, and we're going to switch gears a bit. Machel's going to stay with us, but we're going to bring on Lady Elizabeth Montano. Now, I don't know if some of you youngsters who remember this, some of you weren't even born yet, I'm sure, but we have a video to show you, and we want to make a connection with Machel performing for the first time on the march ground, and he was just 9 years old. So I know some of you may have not seen this. And his mother wheeling him on the stage that night. And we want to now talk about, Machel, you see what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago, and we want to talk about that mother and child connection, mother and children connection, mother seeing a young man's dream and decide to help him pursue it. You still pursued your academics and you got all your passes and so on. Let's talk to Elizabeth Montano and Machel and see how did this happen. But first, before we should have, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to show you that Too Young to Soca video with Machel in Pampers. Well, I shouldn't say a Pampers, but something that looked like a Pampers. And Machel actually performing. Listen, Machel, you were born for this stage. When I paid attention to that video, Machel, at 9 years old, you commanded that stage that seasoned Calypsonians couldn't handle.
Yeah, Lady Montano was the trainer, and she said, make clear out the living room and say, this side, north, stand, grand, stand, come over here, point so, go so. Yeah, there's a lot of training that took place.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll show that video and we'll continue the discussion with Machel Montano and Lady Elizabeth Montano. We'll be back. Stay right there, folks. Get your water, get your popcorn. We'll be back.
I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit Habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
On Dependency will be a morning show in 2022.
That's right. On Dependency marks 20 years on the air. We're taking our groundbreaking brand of radio to a whole new audience. From the team that took you inside prisons in the UK.
I was being held and charged for conspiracy to import cocaine into the UK.
We spoke with men and women who have paid for their crimes.
They didn't tell me if I bring him back and I get catch, I'll get 14 years imprisonment. They didn't say that.
We brought you the glamour of feature film.
I do have a package to drop off in Trinidad.
For you, Alejandro, anything.
I will pay you each 5,000 euros.
And the squalor of death row.
It's a common person from a case in the High Court in Port of Spain, and it was in common when you get an pin from the gate.
And of course, the testimonies of men and women with drug use disorders.
I was quite devastated and got involved with the wrong company.
The man who I used to deal with, he gave me a job to drive him around, just to go and buy cocaine and smoke cocaine.
From Toronto to London, New York to Los Angeles, Scarborough to Point Fortin, and everywhere in between, On Dependency has been your source for drug information. Join us as we move to Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Don't miss On Dependency. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. On Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Thank you for staying with us and happy Sunday morning to you. We are live with Machel Montano. We're talking about Safe Soil. We have CCC trainees, PYC members logged on and locked on.
We have some youth club folks,
Yes.
club, but Central dominating this morning. Central and Northeast.
Central and Northeast.
Yes,
in the
Northwest.
house.
We have one or two from Northwest, but Central and Northeast dominating this morning, and we thank you very much for spending your time. Let's go to that video. Let me see if how many of you remember this. This was when Marsha was 9 years old, and this what I see here is a parent supporting a child with their dream. My mother would have. No, she would have, no, not at that age. She would have told me I'm mad. But Machel mother said, hey, let me carry you on that stage and you ramache for them. Ladies and gentlemen, Machel at the age of 9 on the Marsh Grass stage doing Too Young to Soca. Let's go short, man.
Boy, they say you're too young. Oh no, I want to soca, man. No. I come to soca. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Pa, 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 da, pa, da. Shut it. Pa, 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 da, pa, da. Pa, 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 da, pa, da, 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 da. I say I change my style for just a little while, and they laughed in utter amusement. I say I'm coming on hot to show people what I got, and they start with critical comments. They say I'm a little boy, I'm too young to sing. I thought people spreading joy, but I'm party and sing. They say I should concentrate on winning the junior crown, because I've got to wait a few more years to make them. They say I'm too young to sit back. Oi, 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 they making joke. They say I'm playing with fire. Oi, 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 they making joke. They say I'm too young to boogie. Oi, 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 they making joke. They say I'm coming too early. Oi, 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 they making joke. Tell them I feel it the soca. I feel it the soca. I feel it the chant. Free up myself and plan. I'm really small, but I'm not too young at all. body. They say it is fantasy. I ain't got the ability to perform for them in a party. They say I should be in school learning cheap and sing. They say I should take it cool and see what they want to sing. They say I'm too young in age to take such a risky chance. So now when I rage, I'm coming to make them dance. They say I'm too young to soca. They make it joke. They say I'm playing with fire. They make it joke. They say I'm too young to boogie. They make it joke. They say I'm coming too early. They make it joke. Tell them I feel the soca. I feel the soca. I feel the jump, free of myself and plan. I may be small, but I'm not too young at all. Sing about what I'm not about wars, bubble and corruption. The South African dilemma, the famine in Ethiopia, about race, culture and religion. They want me to take cheap shots at them politicians. They want me to spill my gun in my composition. They want me to use my song to highlight that social wrong. And when I will go along, they're telling me I'm too young. They say I'm too young to soca. They make a joke. They say I'm playing with fire. They say I'm too young to boogie. They say I'm coming too early. They make a joke. Tell them I feel in the soca. I feel in the soca. Yeah. I feel in the jam. Free of myself and plan. I may be small, but I'm not too young at all. I want everybody to watch me now. Watch me do the little soca thing now.
Love it, we love it.
Yeah. This, we have Lady Montano joining us now. Machel, look, how you feel looking at this? This is you at 9 years old, you know, my friend.
10.
10.
Yes.
All right.
Machel, stop blushing. Stop blushing.
Ashim. Who is that young man? If I see the vagrant dance, the vagrant dance. I'm struggling to keep the pampers up.
I see, yes. You're so small, I couldn't even get pampers to fit him. Because he was small. But, you know, it showed that mother and child connection from very young. Lady Montano, welcome to our Dependency. I know we had you waiting for quite a while, but your son kept us really engaged, and I'm sure you understand, you know, why. And but thank you so much for how did this happen? When did Machel look like he just started to speak here at this age, and he convinced you that he could go on stage and
on the march
and make it to the march and came to beat people too. Not only just go on the march. It wasn't a token appearance. He beat seasoned campaigners until so much so that they went back to arbitrate and say, nah boy, 18 years and older, we can't let this happen again. Tell us about this.
Oh boy, it is so funny. And welcome again. Thank you very much for having us. I also want to say thanks to the minister for really uttering those kind sentiments. We appreciate the support. And I really wasn't waiting. I was really enjoying and really feeling proud to hear Machel speak. We have always wanted to be able to contribute to our nation, and now I think we have been able to reach the world. I remember him always saying from small that he wanted to take his music to the corners of the globe. And I think he did so, but in a different way from how we had intended. You know, I'm very proud. So this journey, when you were looking at it there in 1986, it was already 4 years old.
Right.
He started at the age of 7 in 1982. And in 1984 was the first time when he got any controversy, when he won the Junior Calypso Monarch and
Remember that? Yes.
the letter, and he won the crown. And this is when his professional journey started, when he went to Madison Square Gardens. The gentleman left New York, the producer, and come and look for us quite in separate. And we went, and that was a great success. And the people that we were battling with was Sparrow and Kitchener and Stalin, and then the Too Young to Soca started when we entered. We took the chance to go, and in the semi-finals, he beat everybody. Came first.
Right.
And in the finals, you know how that goes, and still beat a few.
Yes.
His signature song, and I was very proud. And what I should say is, Machel say I train him, and we train him. Monty and I worked with him. But Machel was really a leader. He always knew what he wanted to do and what he wanted to say and how he wanted to do it. And sometimes both Monty and I were there like the audience, keeping our fingers crossed and toes crossed that he will do it and do it well. And he did. And I'm very proud.
But it must have been easy for you. Well, not, I shouldn't say easy, but a relief that yes, you're pushing your son to achieve his dreams, but he had the talent in him to do that. And you as a mother, as parents, trying to make this happen for your son and coming up against some obstacles. Could you talk to us a little bit about what that was like for you as a mom, as a stage mom?
Again, it was a family mission, because our family is a nuclear family made up of Monty, my first son, Marcus, Machel, and myself. But then again, we had what you call a very strong support system, right? So that we had people, again, they say it takes a community or village to raise a child.
Yes.
So with the four of us, we had that community. At that time, we lived in Superior. And we had a lot of young people around us and even older people that joined with us. But what I think is more than the talent was the core values that Monty and I sort of instilled into our boys and even the others who were in our charge. And when people say, oh God, lady, you must be real proud that your first son is a pilot and your next son is a big entertainer. And I tell them, yes, you're proud of that, but what I'm more proud of is that the core values that were taught to them as young children, I see them manifesting them as men. So things like obstacles and that, it was challenging, yes, but we always face things as they come, and we were very resilient.
No, Lady and Machel, I want to talk about self-esteem, because a lot of youngsters we've met and we've lectured to, this is a part of the problem, self-esteem. Machel, how did you, was it something you acquired or inherited, that from at this age you could go on a big stage as a Dimash Gra and perform as you did? What gave you that confidence? Did you get it from your mom, dad? How did you get it?
No, I was a very shy child, and I don't think my parents were so loud. Maybe back in the days in teachers' college they were loud, but self-esteem for me, I was very scared. You see me, I was very scared before going on a stage, and I always say that is where my relationship with the divine creator started, because I used to have this what I call a conversation with God. I used to talk to the inner voice. I used to talk to something that had to give me the courage to cross over that threshold of the backstage, to walk on the stage, to get on the stage. Right. I was very scared, but what helped a lot was practice. When you practice something, when you develop your skill, there is a level of confidence you have in focusing on just doing it, executing it, and you keep your concentration. I always remember back in the competition, we had a joke. There was a guy who was older than me, and he was real good looking, and he was a big star. And I used to go up in competitions with him, And I used to wonder, well, how I going to beat him? And my mother just concentrate on your work, focus on your work, practice your work. And one day when I went up and I thought he was going to beat me, a miracle happened. He went up on that stage and his music was playing, and he opened his mouth, he started singing my calypso. And he lost, and I beat him because he was so concentrated on me, you know.
Right.
And so it was not that you will always have the confidence or have a high self-esteem, because you will always be worried and doubt yourself and think. But if you practice and you practice hard enough, and there comes a level of surety and certainty. And that 80% with a little divine intervention, you talk to your master and you say, you know, guide me, hold my hand, carry me. That thing higher than you, the rest works out for itself, because it takes a little fear and a little uncertainty. Is a nice thing to have to kind of make you, you know, want to vault it or to go over it.
Yes. But lady, so that developing that confidence in your children, because you know how to motivate Machel and keep him focused. And how as a parent now, as a mother and guidance counselor, how you, what you could share with parents out there to get that same thing in their child, to go face the world with confidence?
But you see, again, I go back to core values, right? You have to teach your children from very young the things that you will like to see them follow. And one of the things is you have to encourage them. You have to find out what is your child's interest. And once you see your child is interested in something, you have to encourage them. And if they get that encouragement, then they will also get the confidence to do it. And I think this was one of the things that that Machel got from us, because even while he was there and he was small, he would see me right there in the front of the stage, singing every word, and he'll be watching me and he will be looking to see how I react, you know. And then Monty will get to them, not only Machel, but all the boys, talk to them, give them the encouragement. We support them in every way. I remember I always say that when Machel was going to press and was going to do A-levels, he was studying A-levels. Machel was doing, I think, physics, chemistry, and econ. But at the end of the first year, he decided, this is not what I really want to do. You know, I want to do my music, I want to whatever. And I, as the mother, I was crying, because I was a teacher, and I knew. But then my husband is, Monty is very different. Monty was very understanding. But then he would say, okay, you don't want to do this, but you cannot just go and just do it like that, what you want to do. You also have to know when you're going there, there's no pension. You have to work around the clock, and you have to become skilled in whatever you want to do. So, okay. And then we got together with him, and this was in '93, and he went away and studied recording engineering and production. And this is where he went. So that I think the most important thing is that parents must see and notice their children's interest and develop that interest and encourage them, and always be positive.
Well said. We have something from Deputy Commissioner of Police Joanne Archie. Listen to this.
So Joanne says, Machel is phenomenal. I remember as a young woman police working on duty at Skinner Park school competition when Machel came on with the song Following in the Footsteps of My Teacher.
Yes, I remember that track.
And I moved close to the stage, put my hand in my uniform pocket and took out $10 and held it out to him because I was in such awe of this child. How he took that $10 bill had me in stitches. He glided from one end of the stage like Chuck does, took the money from my hand, still singing his song, and pocketed it. And that was a beauty to see. I said then, that is a star in the making. Congratulations, Machel. You are awesome. Liz, congratulations to you as well. And Monty, Machel's name will live on. He's an adult now and have me whining low to his music.
Thank you, Officer Archie. From small, I love tips.
Sing for tips. Yeah.
Well, it's quite obvious.
You know, she say I was slide over there. You see, everybody will always say you make it look good. And I was watching at one point in time how I was holding the diaper and making it look like part of the dance. But I was actually
Yes.
very, very worried about it, and it was distracting me a bit. But being a professional again, God, I just wanted to say something. Thank you, Officer Archie, but I wanted to say something about that confidence thing. Because, you know, I didn't always have confidence in myself. And I want to stress that even to this day, sometimes you don't have confidence. If you have big hit songs and you have a big audience and there'll still be some nights you're not really feeling like, you know, I wonder if I could break this crowd, or I wonder if I could go out there and really make it happen. And something I learned while practicing yoga with Sadhguru is that, you know, confidence is something that you could have, and after one day you could lose it same way. You don't have it for your whole life, or you don't have it always. There are ups and downs. And confidence without clarity could be dangerous. You know, there are a lot of people who will be confident and strong, but they don't know what they're doing. You know, we had a lot of great world leaders who was very confident, but had the wrong intent. And sometimes we had some people with the right intention doing wrong things, you know, and that confidence. So it's not really confidence, but it's more clarity. And as Lady says, develop your children's skills. Give them the tools. Where you see that man, Alston, who's there in Roxborough, he's a farmer. He might not have 9 or 10 subjects, but he know how to put a seed in soil. He know how to water it, give it sunlight. He know what type of, what phase of the moon to plant it in. And have a lot of these men have this knowledge. And if they could pass this on to young people, and young people could acquire this skills and know it well, they don't have to have mathematics or physics or chemistry or econ, which is what I recognize. They just have to have this skill in what field they're in, and that brings a level of clarity. So when you have clarity, you don't necessarily need confidence, because you don't know if the sun will shine or the rain will fall, but you have a trust in what you do. And then again, as I said, the rest is up to the divine universe to make it happen.
So, Lady, you did a book. You all are in the process of publishing a book soon. Tell us about this book on Machel, chronicling Machel's life. What's the name of the book, and how soon should we expect it?
Okay, the name of the book, or part of the name, is King of Soca. And
Right.
it's a biography of Machel. Next week, we are going to release the full name and also the book cover itself. It contains a very classic picture. Now, this book is an adaptation of my thesis. As a old woman, I continue to study, and I graduated in 2018 in my master's in philosophy, cultural studies. And for my dissertation, I did the making of Monk Monty, and we looked at collaboration and commodification, really looking at how when you work with your music in terms of collaborating with people and using different music, mixing it, and whether you are going to destroy the authentic music of your country. And I went out there to prove that. And coming out of that, I decided I wanted to share this information, but it was very academic. And there were certain things that I couldn't include because of academia. And I decided I will do a book. And again, during the pandemic, while I was in Toko, I decided I'd start to write it. So I started to write it in 2000. And again, I always believe in teamwork and collaboration. And I have a very strong team working with me. And also Machel there to verify, you know.
Yes.
And I am finished, so that we're getting ready. By summer, we will have it out. We're looking at June, July, and it's finished. It's now going to the proofreader. The story is Machel's journey. It's Machel's 40-year journey, where we started with the early years. And then I went on to the years when we looked at him as a whiner boy. And then when he evolved into Machel Montano HD, high definition. And again, as he's saying, he's always out there to create that clarity, to make it more clear. And then eventually Monk Monty, where we're looking at the monk was movement of new knowledge, and then we went on to movement of now moving. And eventually we're looking at beyond 40. What does the next decade hold? And I think this is what the book is all about. And I hope, I'm very excited. and I hope that my readers will enjoy. I
No,
look forward to the experience. First time author, I want to be a best friend.
but you know, the first time is always the best. But you know, Machel, you, as lady just said about you still you're 40 years on stage, and we sure know that what you're engaged in and the lifestyle and the yoga and everything will ensure. I always tell people that if Mick Jagger and they could still be touring, then Machel, you have at least 2 more decades to go. What are the plans? And while you're at it, what would you like to say to the youngsters of the Civilian Conservation Corps and youth clubs who are your big fans actually right now? And what would you say to them? Over to you. Machel?
Not hearing you.
Sorry.
Yes.
I was saying Mick Jagger and them wasn't singing soca. That horse of a different color.
Exactly. Yes.
And whining and 160 BPM at 47 years old. It's not easy. So, you know, the yoga is very much important in keeping the machinery oiled and keeping it working. But it's also, you know, being smarter and singing songs like Happy Pappy and bringing down your tempo. And like Farmer will say, becoming a groovy soca. You gotta kind of know, you know, back it down a little bit.
Yes.
You know, but I don't believe in retirement per se, but I believe in transformation. And 40 years in the music business, music has afforded me a vehicle to voice my opinion. I have sung a lot about unity. I have sung a lot about, you know, young people and the development of young people in the music business. I sang a lot about love and togetherness. And I feel like this has been my message or my calling. I consider myself to be, you know, more than a musician or an entertainer, singer. I consider myself to be a gatherer of people. I could bring people out and bring people together and somehow, you know, using a little bit of music, a little bit of dance, a little bit of writing, a little bit of instrumentation. I could inspire them to want to be, you know, to be great or to follow greatness. And I hold that very seriously because I think, you know, in different times, different things are needed. You know, I was saying, I like to say, what got me here wouldn't necessarily get me there. And it's like, you know, you're walking with a basket of fruits and they say, God wouldn't bless you if you don't empty out them fruits and have an empty basket. So the next 40 years for me, I really want to focus on what will my impact be on young people? How would I influence them correctly in the right way? What would I lead them to? I'm already a leader across the Caribbean, across the world. What am I leading them to? So I like to use culture as a way to let young people know who they are culturally, what they stand on. But at the same time, you know, that is tradition. There is the technology of the young people, which I keep very in touch with technology, the phone, the internet, the music instruments, everything that is available to us. And I want to use that tradition and technology to talk about the truth. And to me, the tradition is the past, the technology is the future, but the truth is the present moment where we all meet, you know, the older people and the new generation. We all living in this generation right now. And we have issues that we face. How are we going to deal with the truth of the issues that we have? Crime, you know, drug abuse, things like opioid crisis, all these things in the world, you know, education. There's so many things that we have to influence young people to rise to the occasion. So I want to kind of use my platform, and I think I will always use music, video, the arts to carry these messages. But my job is more now to find the right messages and the right things to attach myself to and inspire young people to get involved with, which is why we started with the very source of life, which is soil, agriculture. Let us at least take care of health. Once we have health, anything could follow on. Without health, you have no wealth to gain. You know, health is your wealth.
As you said, Machel, and Shortman, you could put up those images because, you know, we're keeping in line in what we do with the cocaine and the marijuana and the abuse of I saw a video this week of a young lady losing her mind, you know, of something she ingested. And we want to continue. See that what we're seeing on the screen here now, parents? We have to continue to warn our children about what they're ingesting. And remember, as I always said, we say on this program, you cannot unpop a pill, you cannot unsmoke a joint. Once you put it in your system, you have to go with that trip, and you don't know where it will take you. There's a new trend now where some men mixing their marijuana with cocaine and getting people hooked. For the first time users, and if somebody giving you this to use, there are signs and symptoms to look out for. For instance, if you're smoking a joint, somebody offer you a joint to smoke and your lips start to get numb, your tongue start to feel heavy, that joint was laced. So you have to be very extremely careful, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen the brownies and cookies, they look pretty, but you don't know what the contents are. You eat that, and some people don't understand the process in eating edibles, in ingesting edibles. You don't just eat a whole cookie by yourself, because there are a number of people talk about, Machel, coming close to death after ingesting it, because they didn't understand that it has to go through the digestive process, and when they eat it and they don't feel anything, they eat the next one. And when that trip starts, man, anything can happen. So we warning parents again, this is what they look like. Be careful what your children put their hands on. Machel and lady, yes.
God, let me just say some words of advice to the CCC crew and the Police Youth Club kids. You know, it is very important. They already saying you are what you eat. You're saying what you ingest. You know, everybody have to understand that consciousness is at the basis of this. If you're conscious of this body and how it is built, you know, what you put inside this body will determine how well this body functions. And a lot of people will go through that growing stage of experimenting and understanding this. But if we become conscious of life itself, we will know how to make this body function at its optimal level, because ultimately we want to succeed. We want to be the highest expression of who we are. And we want to do the greatest piece of work we could ever do. And we want to live to see it. So I think a lot of the young people should just focus on finding out and learning about the body that you're carrying around, the actual mechanism. This is the greatest mechanism on the planet, not the phone. We build the phone, we build the computer. We creating everything that is created, you know, right now, other than what creation has done for us. So let us focus on really learning and understanding and becoming conscious of the life that we are. And I think, you know, we will grow through these challenges and understand how to take care of our bodies and our minds.
Lady?
Thank you again.
Yes.
I want to leave the youths with two things. One of the things I just want to recall is respect your elders, or respect the people that come before you. I remember, as I was saying earlier, that Machel grew up under the likes of Sparrow and Calypso Rose and Kitchener and these other people. But he continued to respect them and learn from them and work with them, so that young people in their own sphere should always respect and work with the elders, and the elders should also encourage them. And then I want to leave them with something that if you do your present well, meaning if you do, as Machel was saying, your facts, your present, your now, then your future will naturally blossom. So don't worry about the future. Make sure that your presence, the present that you live in now, that you do it well, and your future will naturally blossom for you. And I want to thank CCC and the Police Youth Club for really taking up the initiative to guide the youth. We appreciate that.
Yes, and Machel, Mr. Harvey Boris says good morning, and to the, he said you were a member of Eastern Credit Union at one time, so you want me to give you a plug, you know, Harvey.
He still is a member of the credit union.
Have you heard that? He's still a member of the credit union. There you go. So
they played a very pivotal role in our coming up as not just musicians, but as entrepreneurs. They were there when we needed money to buy equipment and everything. And we performed in the competitions there, and we gained a lot of experience with that opportunity. So I'm very grateful. Big up to Harvey, and you know, God to see you doing a lot of things for the young people of the nation in terms of, you know, homes and what is happening to young people. I think we just all have to really take a moment and start to consider how could we become better human beings, how could we improve our perception of life. Big up to Dependency for having us. Thank you for, giving the Safe Soil Movement a platform. Tasha, thank you for the great questions. And I want you guys to just let youths know. Let us promote Safe Soil. Let us make it happen. Go on the social media, make your t-shirts, make your videos, and let's get these nations to sign MOUs to say we commit to keeping organic content.
Machel, before you go, we have major news at 12, but let me just jog your memory a bit.
Come back to us, short
Remember,
man,
years ago, right? There was a young lady.
Come back to your face.
Yeah, we want to see.
Machel, I want to see your face when I tell you the story. Some years ago, right, we had two young ladies who they were on another frequency. They had a late night talk show. So it was 10 to 2. And they were during the carnival season. They were speaking about carnival, calypso and soca and where it's going and all of that. And I called in and I made a contribution. And you called in right after and made a contribution as well. And that was what year? I can't remember the year, but I know we were young then. I was at Spectacular then, and it was pre-carnival season. There's a lady sitting next to me here, she was one of the talk show hosts when
and she was probably ripping me apart.
And ripping we apart.
Myself and Rhonda.
Yes, myself and Rhonda Utley. Yes. They had a late night talk show on Power 102. And
that would have been 99, 2000 around.
Yes,
there.
and I'd never forget you calling and contributed to as well to the program. And well, she's Mrs. Sinclair today. So I said, look at life.
Wow.
Yeah, proud of you too, man. And say hello to Mrs. Montano for us too as well. Lady Montano, we thank you. God bless you all. Enough power and strength to you all. Stay up. Keep up the great work. Keep representing Machel. You're doing an excellent job. You're ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago. And we continue to send that love and support to you and the Montano dynasty. You all take care. And here's the applause for you all here.
Thank you.
Let's make it happen. God bless you all. One love. Respect. All right. So, folks, we had a nice little conversation with Machel Montano and Lady Elizabeth Montano this morning. And to those of you of the Conservation Corps and the Police Youth Club, we thank you very much for joining us. We have another intervention at the end of this month, where we'll have the CCC again, Police and Prison Youth Club, and the CCC will get a chance to show off what they've been doing. And we look forward to that after we do that prison intervention. And again, it's all in an effort to keep our children safe, continue to protect them, guide them. To those of you at the Conservation Corps, God bless you all. This was indeed a wonderful session this morning with the Montanos. Gary Barrington.
Good stuff.
See you nodding your head in approval.
And if you missed it, you can go back to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and re-watch the video.
Yes.
And share it, like it, get young people involved and concerned about the safe soil. That is the message. And
before I forget, Berniska, Simone, Che, Nate, Lady Montano, and Machel, of course. Yes. Thank you all very much for what you all contributed.
Helping us to put the show together, yes.
Yes, Superintendent Ram Kilawan, WPC Prescott, DCP Joanna Archie. Thank you all so much for the wonderful support. And of course, for the Minister of Youth Development and National Service for bringing opening remarks this morning, Sharon Sargent. Thank you very much. And everybody else who made this program possible today.
Yep.
And of course, I-95 is on the list. Of course,
yes, we hope you enjoyed it.
And Shortman and everybody else.
Yes,
so, folks,
yes. Big one.
Yes, I want to say to Terminex, and somebody tell me something. Is the mask mandate over?
Ooh.
Is the mask mandate over?
I have no idea.
Did Dr. Rowley make an announcement?
COVID definitely ain't done.
Well, listen.
But we will get this on the topic.
I hope Terminex could tell us if there's a spike in COVID, if they would accept responsibility. Because again, I'm looking at the Ascension League, which is I applaud the TV6 and them for bringing it and
Sports
filming
Max,
it.
yeah.
Yes, and Sportsmark, because it will do well for our football going forward. But I saw a little boy, a baby, with no mask on among all these adults. And
With
if you
no
look at the
mask on?
Ascension League, you will swear that we don't have a mask mandate any longer. I am asking for me and my family because this is crazy. Till my next, I hope you all will take responsibility if there's a spike in that Ascension League with COVID-19. Laser Jews up next with Mr. Sterling Henderson and followed by Take Two with you know who.
The question is,
Good
are we still in-
afternoon.
Good afternoon, folks.
The question is, are we still in a pandemic?
Yeah. Take me back to sanctified church. You should have been destroyed. You should have been locked up. You should have been a drug dealer. But Jezebel was wrong. You owe God a praise. I need a sanctified praise. A sanctified praise.